The night was dark and moonless. A bright light suddenly flashes in the sky, illuminating the darkness. A fiery object shoots down from the heights and speeds toward the ground, leaving a fiery trail behind it. This is no ordinary meteorite. Its surface shimmers strangely, casting an unnatural light, and it moves not chaotically, but with a clear direction. The air fills with the smell of ozone, and a rumbling sound cuts through the night silence, frightening the forest animals. Young student David Harmon was just making his way home through the dense forest when a sudden rumbling sound causes him to stop abruptly. He looks up and sees a fiery object pass over the treetops and fall nearby, illuminating the nighttime thicket with an ominous greenish glow. The ground shakes from the impact, birds leap from the branches, and animals scatter. David feels the powerful vibration and barely has time to jump back when hot debris explodes nearby, showering him with red-hot shards of tree bark. He falls, hitting his shoulder on a tree root, and remains in a daze for several seconds, breathing heavily. Retreating to a safe distance, he tries to see where he fell through the smoke and sparks. There, in the resulting crater, smolders a strange metallic object covered with a network of unknown symbols that seem to flicker in the darkness. David, gripped by excitement, hurries towards his house. Once inside, he immediately grabs the phone and calls his old teacher, Dr. William Tracy, known for his research in astronomy and mysterious phenomena. David is confused about what happened, describing how a strange object fell from the sky. His voice shaking, he still can't believe what he's seen. Dr. Tracy, a man with an inquisitive mind and a penchant for unusual hypotheses, cannot ignore such a report and promises to come immediately. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, a young couple is relaxing in their home. The small kitchen is illuminated by soft light. An unfinished cup of tea stands on the table. The man is lazily leafing through a newspaper, and the woman is reading a book. Suddenly, the silence is broken by a strange noise coming from the basement. It is not the usual creaking or rustling sound reminiscent of something metallic scratching the stone. The man gingerly gets up and turns on the light. The woman looks at him anxiously, but he assures her that it's probably just a rat or the wind. They decide to check what is going on. As they slowly descend the stairs, they listen to every sound. It is dark downstairs, with only a faint ray of light coming through a small window. The air in the basement is damp and cold, smelling of earth and old wood. When they find themselves in the basement, something horrible catches their eyes. In the far corner stands a tall figure, hidden in the shadows. Its outline resembles that of a human, but something is clearly wrong. Its skin shimmers with a pale green light and its eyes glow with an eerie amber fire. The creature takes a slow step forward, and the air fills with a low rumble that is felt not by the ears, but by the skin. The woman cries out in horror, but a moment later her scream is cut short. The creature makes a sudden leap forward, and everything is plunged into darkness. Dr. Tracy arrives at David's house. They head into the woods to examine the site of the fall. When they arrive there, they see a deep crater, within which a strange metallic object shimmers faintly. However, their attention is drawn to the huge footprints leading into the thicket. The footprints look unnaturally large and deep, as if the creature weighs much more than a normal human. Tracy realizes that this object is not just a meteorite. At the same time, a local named Joe Montague, a man with a temper and greed, notices strange flashes in the woods. He takes a shotgun and sets out to find it. Once at the site of the fall, he is confronted by an unknown creature. His eyes light up with greed, and he realizes that if he can catch the alien or get his hands on the strange object, he can get rich. Without hesitation, he raises his gun and fires. The creature retreats, emitting a piercing sound. The wounded alien hides in the woods, leaving behind drops of a strange glowing liquid that begins to vaporize on contact with the air. Joe runs into town, telling his family and acquaintances what he saw. He claims to have seen the monster, and urges the other men to go with him to capture the beast and sell it to the government or scientists. The villagers are stirred by his story and arm themselves and go hunting. Meanwhile, the alien hides in the forest. His breathing is labored, his movements slowed by his wound. He tries to regain his strength, his clawed hands trembling. He looks around, listening for sounds. Suddenly, he hears a noise. It is hunters approaching. His eyes flash, and he hides again in the shadows of the trees. Dr. Tracy and David find traces of the alien's blood. They realize the creature is injured and decide to try to find it before the angry mob gets to it. Their search leads them to an old barn where the alien has taken refuge. The creature looks at the men warily, but shows no aggression. Tracy, amazed, realizes that it is intelligent. It doesn't attack, it doesn't act like a wild animal. The doctor takes a timid step forward, trying to show that he is not a threat. But at that moment, a gunshot rings out. Joe and his group approach. The bullet grazes the wall of the barn, and the alien lets out a piercing scream. He makes a desperate dash forward, leaps over the barrier, and disappears into the night. The crowd chases after him. Dr. Tracy and David try to stop them, but the enraged men don't listen. Suddenly, the ground shakes. From the crater left by the falling object comes a powerful rumble. Bright rays of light shoot out from beneath the ground, illuminating everything around them. After a few moments, the flash fades, and everything falls back into darkness. When the men regain consciousness, the creature is gone. It's gone. All that remains are signs of struggle and the shimmering dust settling on the leaves. Dr. Tracy looks anxiously at the stars. He realizes that this is only the beginning. Perhaps the creature was just looking for a way home.